the intro music. Yeah! Woohoo!
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel where today we're going to be talking about crewing, and also, let me just go ahead and put it in the front of it, as I know you're going to ask, hence the comment bar bopping up already. Yeah, I'm going to throw in a hint. At some point in this video, there should be an obvious / super obvious / maybe you can't even tell it is a hint. Is it ambiguous? Is it real? Is it factual? Is it direct? Is it... Who knows? You'll just have to wait and see. But we do like to prep for upcoming months, and one of the things that we do to do that is to discuss officers, and we've got a few different doozies this time around, starting with people who buy skins. Shout out to the owner of this Galore skin. It is absolutely beautiful. Now, they're running a standard Armada crew here on their Valdor, and absolutely nothing wrong with that. Keep running that. That Valdor looks beautiful. I wouldn't have bought the skin, but damn, it looks nice. Kudos to you. But on the opposite side, we've got a unique loadout, and we want to talk about good, bad, ugly, etc. Like, is this actually viable? Is it good? Is it something that we would actually want to use? Because the officers aren't not working. Yeah, that was a really convoluted way of saying that. But anyway, let's minimize this and talk real quick. So let's start with Deanna Troi. Nemesis increases weapons damage against Romulan hostiles and Romulan armadas. So this is an armada-based officer ability, which works. So no problems with that. We're good. But is it the most, well laid out plan? Probably not. But let's talk about, unless you're going against a Romulan armada, that's not really going to matter. Another issue is most players are not going to have a very high value Troi. So you're going to be having a low percentage like 150. 150 is not really going to help out a lot, though she could be a good FKR officer, specifically Romulan, if she was maxed out. But let's also look at who else she's being paired with, which I actually do like. And this is not really a hate one. This is just a little bit more of a confusing one. I do like the mitigation boosting of Beverly, and then they're also using Beverly at the top with shield regen. The only curious thing here is if you're going to run Troi, which I assume they're using some synergy here, maybe that's one of the reasons they decided on Troi, you would probably go with another officer. Not necessarily Troi, because she is pigeonholed specifically to Romulan armadas. But maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what they were going for, and they were going against a Romulan armada, and this was a support ship. And the reason I say maybe a support ship is because Lorca is here on the far left side. Quick thinking, he gives you a hull breach. So the only real negative here is there's nobody who's creating a critical that you can take advantage of hull breach with on this particular ship. However, there actually is an officer that could take advantage of criticals right here. This is reducing crit chance of targets. And then you've got, if you back out, we've got a slew of officers who can contribute to criticals. What Data has a capability of positronic right here if you have Data. Now I realize not everybody has Data. He is sourced through away teams, but it is still an option, and it gives you that synergy with Bev, which in this case we'd want synergy with Data as captain, and you'd still get the mitigation bonus from Beverly on the side. Or you could actually go a little bit crazy and throw in my favorite tier 3 officer right now, Julian Bashir, for criticals to take advantage of Lorca. What it looks like this crew is doing is being a support ship against a Romulan armada. The only tricky thing is, if you're not fighting a Romulan armada, you're really going to struggle to have consistent success with this loadout. But it's a good one, and there's a lot of layers to it, and we like that because it means we talk about it. It's not purely bad, but it is curious unless it's being used in the perfect way. Well, let's talk about this next one, which there's no perfect way for this. This is just wrong. This is wrong, and this is bad, and you should feel bad. How dare you insult my Talios like this? Woof. All right, let me explain why Rev is so upset and a little dramatic. I've never been dramatic in my life until this very moment. First of all, Pon. My guy, Pon. Oh, wow. Pon. Here, let's go ahead and make this smaller so y'all can see again. Pon. Green serve cold. Pon decrease the opponent's player's critical chance by 53% at the start of each round for 3 rounds if on an explorer with morale. Talios is an interceptor. and nobody's operating morale. But wait, there's more. What is the more? Well, we've got Strike Team Una, who is an absolutely fantastic officer, arguably the best individual strike team officer in existence. Crushed their hopes, went on a battleship. Kalios is not a battleship. Oh, goodness gracious. However, not a bad officer. Actually, great officers. Love that they have these unlocked. But yeah, when in combat against a player explorer, well, fighting other Talioses. So, nope, not there either. And then you got Honor Guard Worf, who actually fits perfectly fine here. Rage of Kittimer. First 8 rounds of combat increases critical hit chance for players. So, that actually is no issue. But you see this thing gets absolutely stomped. Now, it gets stomped against an interceptor strike team, but it doesn't help that you have 2 officers basically doing zilch. And then the third officer you have, Honor Guard Worf, gets negated by the fact that you're going against Damar. So you had no shot and you got completely wiped. This is why it's important to read the officer descriptions or check out Rev Deuce videos to know when I can actually use a certain officer in the game. Because you're right, you don't always know. It's not always obvious. Sometimes you think you got something and you just don't, and it takes some trial and error, but this time, this is just bad. It's just bad. That's all there is to it. This is, don't do this. Let's look at a third one here as we're learning more about officers, and this is old school, so I wanted to show it because I know a lot of players out there, if you want our newer players coming into the game, I talk about the crew on the right side for levels 20s and 30s all the time. Honestly, the crew on the right side for PvP and Armadas is a fantastic crew if you're in the 20s or 30s. Truly is. So if you're seeing that, don't get mad at it. Like, it truly is useful. But let me tell you why it's not useful in this particular application. And for that, we're going to back out on our officer menu. We're also going to get ready to minimize this pretty log, but I'll say up there so you can memorize what officers are there. We're going to scroll up. We're going to pick Spock and then fade. So why am I not a fan of this loadout in the 40s and 50s? The simple answer is how illogical works. While the ship has morale, Spock restores, when maxed, 750% of the defense of the officers on the ship back to the shields. Why does that not matter? Like, why is Rev throwing a big hissy over that? Well, if you can see this Valdor, pretty decently sized Valdor, was that tier 7, I think? Tier 7? Yeah, so tier 7. So why does that matter? Well, let me pull out a tier 5 Katinga and show you. So if you look at my tier 5 Katinga, where's my shield health right here? Shield, that's my shield deflection. Shield 7 million. What ends up happening is, even if you had a stupid, let's say you stacked 50,000 stats, you are not able to recover the shields enough to really matter in this particular situation, which is exactly why the shields of the Valdor fail. Even though they got the beautiful skin on there of the Galore. I love the Cardassian Galore skin. But they fail, thus nullifying Spock and Kirk at the same time, because you're only running Kirk to give morale to Spock. So now what happens on this 4-star ship, the only thing that matters is 5 of 11. And honestly, 5 of 11 helps with mitigation. But you end up losing. And a ship that is 3 times weaker than you takes you down and isn't using full strike team or anything, by the way. You don't even need Wei Yun here, and you still could have won. All because of how things work in the game. And there are times, sadly, where some of our favorite officers become outdated. And Spock is one of those officers. Spock is an outdated officer in the 40s. You never use him anymore. He only gets used for away teams. But he was fantastic for you new players and so important, and that's okay. I mean, we're talking about months to years worth of usage before he finally becomes outdated and maybe gets used in an Eclipse Armada or something, but doesn't really get used in this way anymore. But morale is important. It's actually really good to have morale on your ship, right? Like, you like having morale. I mean, if anything, what if we had officers, morale officers on our Star Trek ships at all times? That'd be great, right? We should go find those and put them on our boats, no matter where they're from. So let's wrap on up for today's video. I do want to give a quick, hey, FYI, if you didn't know, now you know. I appreciate every single one of y'all. If y'all want to support the channel, a couple ways you can do that. transition. Sign up monthly to be a cadet. If you are unfamiliar with this, some of you are already subscribed like on YouTube. This actually helps out the channel more. You get access to more perks, and they take a heck of a lot less cut than YouTube does. So if you want to support us as a member monthly, do that here, and you can be a lieutenant and be part of movie night. I'm actually be watching Demolition Man for the first time, and Fifth Element, and Idiocracy, and fun things. Or you can just come through and pick you up some merch. We got flags. Well, people have actually picked up the bikini. Shout out to Dad Bod Bearded Gaming. That's hilarious. And we've got, of course, our classic Star Trek FleetCommand merch, Shield or Share, No Loot, No Shoot, and some new ones coming in. So if you want to support the channel, you like what we're doing here, you like the hints that we drop, well, hit the subscribe button, like the video. It's pretty easy, man. Just like it. Join our Discord if you have more questions, and we'll see you tomorrow with a new ARC launch. Exciting. Hey, don't forget, we're giving away battle passes. Woo! Battle pass! Yay! Giveaway!
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.